and welcome to everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. For those I haven't met, my name is Mike Lake, President and CEO of Leading Cities. And to give you some context, Leading Cities is a global nonprofit working with more than 16,000 cities and communities around the world. At our core, we're focused on helping local governments innovate and solve problems, despite the very real roadblocks that often stand in the way. As we learned more about the work that Platform OS has been doing with this Washington, D.C. Department of Buildings, we felt there was a bigger story here we're sharing with our network. Not because it's a technology story, but because it's a story about government modernization, operational improvement, and delivering better services to residents.
Then director Ernest Schrapper had some thoughts around a possible way forward to help reinvigorate and take a bite-sized chunk out of a problem that existed in the Department of Buildings around specifically inspections. And the term the Airbnb of building inspections became the sort of catchphrase for a marketplace allowing third-party inspectors and inspection agencies to participate in a marketplace to help the Department of Buildings fast track inspections. The issue was that there was a 3 to 4 week delay in those inspections, and there was uncovered capacity issues. They needed to be able to find, book, and pay better. They needed better onboarding, better transparency, and also there was an opportunity for revenue, not just for the city, but for new businesses who became registered, certified third-party inspection agencies. And what we saw very quickly before we get in and actually start working through some demos and Q&A is that the turnaround went from 4 weeks to 2 days. Inspection volume increased by 67%, $6.5 million of additional revenue generated for the city. Now that's in fees for transactions, but this also doesn't account for the tens of millions of dollars in revenue that new agencies and small business owners were able to generate, notwithstanding the incredible impact in faster turnarounds for general contractors and building permit approvals. So you can see some of the figures here, vastly increasing time turnaround on permit inspection wait times from 4 weeks to 2 days, increase in inspection turnover. It also helped free up the internal Department of Buildings inspection staff, allowing them to be more efficient. So it wasn't doing away with the old, it was enhancing the existing process. What this then led to was additional opportunities. Department of Buildings wanted to know with certificate of occupancy, could that be improved? The faster approvals were linked back to the deep dive in user experience research, understanding the business needs, forgetting the technology. Who cares about technology at the end of the day? Do we understand the problem? Have we created the right workflows? Have we prototyped some user experience design approaches that can be prototyped for faster feedback? The answer is yes, 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 which then leads to a product development which the city owns. It's not the traditional way of I have to license or rent software, which is limited. It's limitless development in this case, so that they can literally build whatever they need in for whatever purpose, and they own the GitHub repository for those business processes. And some cool AI integration, which augmented with the admin team. There's some exciting things happening there, which again, we'll be able to touch on shortly.
In managing the third-party program here at the Department of Buildings, we encountered, I think, a very common issue across the United States, probably across the world, where things are managed still by email, still, let's say, paper records. One of the big challenges with this project was that we were not only trying to digitize the process, but we uncovered opportunities to improve the process, which meant that we were basically inventing things, designing our ideal state. That allowed us then insights into, oh, I wish I can do this. So we wanted to keep growing then. We wanted to keep improving processes. And so I think when you get to an outcome, when you want to keep going, that is a a successful outcome, in my opinion. Stress it. One of the big outcomes that I saw as the program manager was the interdisciplinary collaboration. It ended up not only being between the department buildings and the development team, but also it enhanced the collaboration between the department building and its stakeholders. So the general population, the third-party agencies, we now have a better process where they collaborate and they say, hey, this is how we want to improve the system. So the system no longer becomes the ownership is no longer the department buildings, but the third-party agencies can now start saying, I participated in that, I designed that. And that to me goes way beyond just the success of any platform or application. It's the fact that now we are talking more and collaborating more. What's made life easier is actually being able to see what we're doing, being able to monitor and track. Before we had a system in place, we didn't have data and metrics. Now we have the ability to start understanding in terms of quantitative data, where are things that we could potentially improve, or where we are, what is the normal working environment in our industry and performing inspections. Then the second item that I would say that has helped immensely is that by us being able to track the entire workflow of the third-party agencies, particularly on the inspection side of the third-party agencies, we can now have a better ability to enforce compliance, to see that they're following the standards, the regulations, and policies of the District of Columbia. And then if they're not, it allows us to have the evidence to be able to say, hey, look, why aren't you complying? Let's have a conversation, or take it a more serious route if we need to. But now we have that documentation and that visibility to be able to do that.
So Monica touched on AI and the impact that including AI in tools like Figma that we use for doing design has taken things from maybe what would have taken 3 weeks now takes 3 days with some AI augmentation. Great improvement in productivity. Even the ability to create a prototype from a design system that we have defined and very quickly get feedback made. It can go out and say, hey, what do you think of this? And the user feedback comes back immediately. The integration of some of the AI tooling that we have done around a agent supervisor, being able to use Claude or OpenCode or whatever LLM you want to fast track and assist with development. Things that have to happen, the applicant validation, building description, permits, all the inspections and final acceptance, all of these things can be quickly summarized and reviewed by an AI agent, which vastly improves the administration task that would otherwise have to read a lot more. It can even go to the next step and create a possible correction request. Again, vetted and reviewed by an administrator who's an expert, a subject matter expert, before it goes back to the permit holder. So these are things that have, again, vastly improved, just like in our process from the development side and the design side, from 3 weeks to 3 days. Imagine a process for review going from 3 days to 3 hours, and the speed at which we can now quickly assist the administrators using these tools. Involve the customer in the process, involve the stakeholders in the process, and have them, as Maida said, when they say, hey, that's my little bit of feedback there, that's really helped my job, they will use it. It's not just here's what you get, here's the cookie cutter solution. It's over to you now to try and make it work. And that's where the shift is happening across development, where we're not bound by a traditional software development lifecycle where it's sort of off the shelf and it is what it is with paint within the lines. limitless approach to development is where things are at. We just highlight what the challenge can often be for an agency just in general, and why not just government tech projects stall, but so many large tech projects stall. And it can be anything from using a waterfall approach to development, where we've got a 2-year project, and by the end of the 2 years, we delivered exactly what the scope said, and it's totally irrelevant now. So agile approach, which is really important, being able to deliver something every couple of weeks, and then if the new priorities take over, being able to give time and effort to those priorities without having wasted 2 years of budget and time. So the project management approach, the limitations around coding now, moving away from off the shelf. I don't know how old you all are, but 5.25-inch floppy disks and putting them in there and loading it all up. And then hard drives came along, and now shrink wrap software off the shelf, and suddenly the internet. And now I can rent my software. I can host it in the cloud and I subscribe to it. But then there's limitations around software as a service. How configurable is it for your needs? And is it being done in a way that's efficient, so that by the time you've finished turning it into Frankenstein's bride from its original purpose, it's no longer efficient in the back end, and the database doesn't have the right schema and the right indexes. And so suddenly you get past a certain number of records, everything slows down, and the only solution is throw more computer hardware at it. We suggest incremental modernization. I guess that's what I was saying here. A lot of CIOs are looking for ways that they can land on a smaller project and then expand if they need to. Being able to build out a prototype that is visually appealing and useful for the end customer, like what we're doing with Figma Make, and get feedback without needing to necessarily develop immediately. Being able to leverage and reuse workflows and code that can be applied very easily to another business problem. They're all ways that can help to expedite new projects. And then owning the transformation end to end, making sure that the approach is modular, consistent, that you own the code, of course, that you have the ownership of the data, that you can work with your local development teams on a platform that gives them access to the code to be able to use people that are in your community that are experts to build out. And of course, being AI ready, that's an important part of that. So owning your own destiny and having a team that embraces that approach enables you to start with a problem, move fast and affordably, and then be AI ready when the time comes. Importantly, own the code base that you have customized specifically for your business needs. So not getting that vendor lock-in is important. That's where augmentation comes in, which is exactly the approach that Department of Buildings has had. What's something that we can build, that we can fix right now, and augment and plug in over the top of our existing systems. So we still have our single point of truth, and through integration, but we can expand and work with whole new workflows that previously we were limited or not able to do.